Today, now we're joined by Honorable Boni Halwale. Good morning.
Morning.
Is it still too late in the year to say Happy New Year? What do you say? Because we haven't seen each other this year and we're almost at the end of January.
This year is very new.
Yeah, so it's still new.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Dr. Welcome to the show. Also, Honorable Jacob Video, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year.
Welcome to the show. And as you come with, as we do the review this morning, quite the headline that we're looking at right here. Before the break, we had a tweet by Angel Sherry saying that Governor Waititu is a victim, na tutajionea in due time what happened right there. I'll start with you, Dr. on this one, because some people are saying that had he been a different ally, as the Standard puts it, his Ruto's ally kicked out, probably the cards might have fallen differently. What's your take on that?
I don't think so. People are in the mood of seeing Ruto in everything. Everything they see Ruto. To me, the problem lies squarely with the Senate. The Senate should not in the first place have allowed the motion to go on because there is something called legal timelines. The moment the county assembly brought that motion of impeachment and the speaker was unable to convene Senate within 7 days, it meant the process was over. So should Waititu go to court, as we know he will, the High Court is going to nullify.
Right.
And there are three more reasons why the High Court should nullify. The other one is that back home in Kiambu County Assembly, we understand that the prerequisite number of MCAs who were in the House at the time the impeachment was being done did not meet the legal requirement. Number two, there is something in Parliament called the rule of sub judice. Sub judice is a Latin word which simply means a matter is already before another judge, another court. When Senate sits to preside over impeachment, it is actually a quasi-judicial process. It is a court. So if a matter is being heard in Nyeri, the same matter cannot be heard in Kakamega. So this is a situation whereby this matter of Waititu being prosecuted for corruption is already taking place in another high court. So because yesterday they were also speaking to the same issues of corruption, it was sub judice.
Right. Some people have argued with that particular frame of argument, saying that this was concerning his office and his duties in the office as governor, but what's in the court is a different court case, and that will be answered to later. He'll still answer the charges right there. So there's no double jeopardy, there's no sub judice in that particular regard. What's your take on that?
I think at the end of the day, we shall then submit ourselves to the Constitution, which speaks to the fact that the final arbiter is usually the High Court. Right. So we shall go by what the High Court says. Okay. We can leave all that is being said, including what I'm saying, to be a question of opinion. Okay. But going by history, I personally led a committee in the Senate that removed Wambora. And we made the same fate. Okay. In this case, are going to meet the same fate. Okay. I can tell you.
Honorable Jacob, let me come to you. Do you think it's too early to celebrate for those who are celebrating, or for those who are commiserating with Ferdinand Waititu? We are not yet out of the woods, as Boni puts it. He might go to court and get back.
Well, I am not sure I'm listening to Boni correctly.
Why is that?
You know, this process of impeachment, even as we speak, it's going on in America. And there are hundreds of court cases with, in the Trump case.
Right.
Courts cannot stop Parliament from doing its work. This is a political court. Parliament must work. You know, is Waititu a Ruto ally? He cried, saying, I'm on the other side, that's why I'm being persecuted. Those were his words. He's the one who said he's a Ruto ally in the Senate. But the High Court has the same powers that Parliament has. That Waititu is being tried for theft in Senate is true. That Waititu, I watched some of that debate, and I thought that the Senate did a good thing, and that we must slay the ghost of corruption without unnecessary legalities, the ghost of planned of public funds. Really face the facts. Last year I watched, Jeff, which you have not played, I watched in the media, when Waititu was bragging about wealth, ill-gotten wealth, and I was stunned. You know, what the Senate is doing has nothing with illegalities, and I think the Senate would be so wrong not to impeach Waititu. When you involve your family in the theft, that is how low our country has sunk. You know, when you say that he's a victim, who's victim? He's a victim of the war on corruption. When Honorable Senator Halwale led the ouster of Wambora, it was different political times. Different political times. You know, let me tell you, I have been following the impeachment in America.
Yeah.
It is obvious, the answer is known, that because the Democrats are more in the House, the answer was already predetermined. More or less, the answer in the Senate is more or less predetermined unless for Republican senators change sides. So it is not, but it is the process that matters. How it ends, it depends on the political situation at the time. That is the whole thing about impeachment.
Right.
We are in court. I mean, we are watching the court process against Waititu, against Sonko, against the governor of Samburu. And it's, I believe, trusting in Kinoti and Haji, that we are going to see many more governors. I'm sure they are not sleeping.
Right.
Even where we come from. They are not sleeping. Their crimes are obvious. And we must slay this dragon of corruption. I think it is wrong to politicize this war. We have spent 7 years castigating Uhuru for sleeping in State House while the Kibaki legacy is being destroyed. Now he has said, let us deal with it. And he's starting from his own house. Let me ask you the panel something. Do you think Sonko or Waititu would have become governors if Uhuru had said no? It is true they are Ruto allies, but would they have become governors 2 years ago if Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta had said no? So he's beginning from his house, and he has pronounced himself. Uhuru has said, whether you are my sister or my brother, the phones will be off when you are caught. See, this guy brags, he says, I own 2 prime buildings in town, and he has gotten them within the last 2 years. I mean, ini duka gani ya pesa wako nayo that they go and they scoop and they do what they're doing? What are they teaching our children?
But also, when you're on the floor of the Senate, something you also brought up was the fact that his case has also been tried not only in the Senate and the High Court, but also in the Court of Public Opinion, saying that you said my daughter has 100 million shillings in her account. I have her statements here. She only has 9,000 shillings. I don't know where that story came from. I'm a man who's persecuted. Again, showing that he's the underdog here, and everything is out against him on this particular one.
Let him take, that matter is in court. We did not say. It is the DCI who said. He cannot talk, we cannot ask politicians. The Senate is reacting to the impeachment from the Kiambu Assembly. The Senate is following some order. And let me tell you, it's a political process. He has even been in public saying that he's willing to return the money he stole.
Right.
So what are you saying? If he doesn't have the 100 million, where is he going to get the one he's willing to return? Keep your eyes at the ball. I don't care who becomes the next president, but we must address ourselves to the issue of plunder of public resources. Let's
talk about that, Gerald. Let me come to you because for such cases, even as we're at this point, I think it's important to go back to where the rain started beating us. We saw the charges brought against him. We saw the different companies that had different family members who had contracts with the county government where he was governor. Clear conflict of interest as far as that's concerned. But in terms of accountability, in terms of institutions that can make sure this doesn't happen again, when Jero becomes governor of Kiambu, how do we do that moving forward? Because we might remove Waititu, but the next person will come in there and do the same thing. How do we strengthen our institutions to make sure there is actual accountability?
I think there's the angle, thank you, of institution strengthening, but I think there's also a systemic culture of conflict of interest, which starts at the very top. So for me, when I see, for example, that President Uhuru Kenyatta's relatives were involved in Afya House scandals that have never been called to task, that Ministry of Sports funds were used to overnight transport containers that had been sitting in Miritini, that had been bought for God knows how much. You see, the impunity starts at the very top and it filters its way to the bottom. So yes, Waititu, even Sonko, you know, the crudeness of theft is what people are challenging because it's in your face. You are saying, I have 2 buildings, I have this kind of money, and Sonko is saying, pate after pate, gold chains, benchmarking all over the world. So these clowns, for lack of a better word, are perfect targets for censure and for fantastic destroying, spectacular destroying of their space politically. The ones who are slick, quiet, in the background, eating big money and you will never know. Those are the ones we'll never know about. So for me, again, I do agree with my brothers here who are saying that yes, rule of law, yes, constitutionalism, yes, there should be no impunity. But if you look at who is being picked out, yes, they are very obvious. But number 2, that these guys apparently seem to be aligned in one way or another. Like I said, if an ODM senator today, governor today, comes up for impeachment, I'd like to see when they list who voted, if it goes through all the way to the point of voting, I'd like to see how it was voted. At the end of the day, this is not about a bipartisan, as Gabriel, we were discussing earlier, it's not a bipartisan agenda to end corruption, but this is a weaponized war on corruption for purposes of political supremacy. That's it. That said, I agree, any thief should be out, anybody stealing public resources, but we are going to target the most vulnerable, and especially those allied to Ruto. Ruto was the #1 ally of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So let's start there, and now they are not so close anymore. So it goes to show, or it'll follow, that ultimately these guys will be the wheat and the chaff will be separated. Right. So I look at it and with a pinch of salt, and I say, good, let Waititu go. Okay, how many more do we have left? So it is I'm congratulating, but I'm also cautioning. Okay. Yeah.
Gabriel, I'll come to you as well, because you did a spot check yesterday. Took it upon yourself to go through Kiambu and see how it was reacting after that. But as Daktari says here, probably we're not yet out of the woods as far as this is concerned. When it goes to the courts this time round, do you feel probably we'll have another governor with a couple of more lives left down the line?
You know, Jeff, you know, even with that tour, there was, like I told you earlier on, there were mixed signals. You had people who thought, you know, actually Waititu had actually gotten a raw deal, like he's saying, based on the faction that he belongs to. And you had other people who are so happy about it, saying, you know what, I think we made a mistake when we voted this person. And the others will tell you, in fact, this is good because I never voted for this person. But there's something I want you to take into consideration, something that our senior here said. Jacoyo said, where do all these things start? You know, and I'm not talking about Kiambu alone. You have to look at when people came up for censure, Mwangi wa Iria from Murang'a, Granton Samoja, when you look at Paul Chaponi, where do these issues towards impeachment begin? It's not from the Senate. They are motions brought up by the very same people that are working with you at the county level, and those are the MCAs, right? If you remember somebody like Nderito Gachagua, the late, I mean, it was almost the entire county assembly. If you remember Wambora, it was almost the entire, you know, county assembly before, and even Senate went through until the High Court actually, you know, threw the case out. So it is always good to realize, yes, the formations may happen in the Senate, but most importantly, you must ask yourself, where did these problems begin? I've told you time and time again, and my good Daktari will tell you here, nobody today, given where we stand economically, nobody wants our tax shillings misused at the county level or at the national level, all right? So the war on corruption must go on. And if the hammer falls on you, I don't think we'll be here to collect the broken pieces. No, kila mtu achukue mzigo wake mwenyewe.
Okay, fine. Keep those. We want your views as well at K24 TV. I actually have a tweet that will lead us to our next topic. Nelson Langat. Okay.
I have heard my brother Jacoyo, and to my mind, it is clear that he's merely banging the table. I never, ever said here that there was no theft in Kiambu. I was saying push impunity out and uphold the rule of law. You can only apply rule of law if you respect the procedure of tackling legal matters. Yakoyo, I know you're educated and you lived for many years in the US. They're the ones who say, if you have the facts, bang them. And if you have the law, bang it. But if you have none of the above, you merely bang the temple the way you're doing. My brother, let me tell you, you come from western part of this country. You know that in Western Province there are 2 governors who are politically correct. One of them is actually in court, but nobody has ever applied the ruling that requires that once a governor is charged, he must step out. I mean, he should be prevented from going to office. You know his name. There's another governor from Western Province.
Why don't you name them? If they're in court, I mean...
It's none of my business.
But you talk about facts.
Yes.
Which governor is this, Dr.?
Governor Ojamong has been sued.
So charged.
Yeah, uncharged. Yeah. So why has he been allowed to stay in the office?
Right.
Yeah. These are the issues that we are talking about. Number 2, there's a governor, and this one I won't disclose the name, but you know him. He's your friend. He has been investigated, and the investigation has been concluded that he took 200 million from the county kitty and pretended to go and pay farmers for debts owed. The debts have since been settled by the county government, not by the county government, by the national government 5 years later, when 5 years ago he took the 200 million. He has even bought a 250 hotel in your city, in Kisumu, and nothing is going on because of political correctness. This is not the Kenya that we want to call our country.
The weaponization
but Jeff,
exactly.
Jeff must respond.
Please do.
Let me bang the table then. You know, my sister here says Uhuru, Ruto, whoever were involved in Afia House scandal, those are actually facts, and they're out there.
Yeah.
It does not mean the day you arrest the people related to Uhuru who are in the Afia House scandal must precede arrest of Waititu. You know, we are not doing the Idi Amin thing of putting people in lorries and dumping in Lake Victoria. This is a very serious scourge in our country. It must be methodical. Remember the Orengo quote in the Senate to Beth Mugo? He said, revolutions eat its own people. Government eats its own people. What we are seeing is true to the quote by Orengo. Now, that he's saying Oparanya never paid people 200. I have heard him say it publicly, so I can quote him. I'm quoting Bonnie, that he has bought a hotel in Kisumu. I'm not aware, but all these governors have very dark things in their closets. In fact, a governor, the governor of Sia is even on record saying publicly, as long as Raila is there, I can never be arrested. You know, you see, that is just something. That bravado is where you say you are being beaten and you're saying, I'm going to kill you, and whoever you are fighting, whoever is fighting you has amekukanyaga shingo chini. He is still beating you up. Now, Bonnie, let me tell you that you can say on national television that Waititu has been impeached without facts. It's very wrong. You have just said that there is no evidence and there's no legality. We are in a mess. We are in a scenario where we are even being led by people who are charged with mass murder in The Hague. We are in a total mess. That we are blessed to have Kinoti and Haji trying to unravel it. Any little bit helps. You remember the case of Babu Owino? Haji was already in court yesterday, saying, where do you pay a bail in installment? What are you trying to tell Kenyans? He is already in court saying Sonko cannot purport to appoint a deputy. Good things are happening in this country. Let us be patient. But the truth is, like my brother says, like Mutuma says, if the hammer falls on you, There's no political configuration that should save you, and there's no tribal configuration that should save you. Remember, where we are, this is not about us. This is about the future of our grandchildren, our grand-grandchildren. And I am happy we are beginning to scratch the surface. I can tell you, the people who are crying when nobodies are arrested, they will not be there to cry when the real fish are arrested. And when you say that these people are not being arrested, the facts are there. The facts are never killed. I watched not too long ago when somebody is arrested for crimes committed during the Holocaust.
Yes.
And they're always done. The law caught up with them. It doesn't matter. There is no limitation of when the law will catch up with you. I can tell you today that even if Uhuru wanted people around him not to be prosecuted, they will be. In fact, Kenyans will get to a point where we shall persecute them.
Right.
Because they are thieves.
Actually, we have a WhatsApp message. Let's take a look at that. We have one coming up again. The WhatsApp number is scrolling at the bottom of your screen, so you can get in touch with us there. You can also send us your tweet messages. Let's have that up on screen. Take a look at it. Your discussion this morning is wonderful. However, I sympathize with the leaders with criminal records. The writing is on the wall. Expect more impeachments and jail terms. This is a new Kenya, my friends. That's WhatsApp message coming in. I also want us to move, as we move it along, there's a tweet we have gotten from Nelson Langat. The first, and he's talking about BBI because it's on the front page of the Standard. The first BBI conversation seems to have taken unanimous acceptance from Kenyans. But the current conversation seems to have been hijacked for selfish political interests. For instance, suggestions of third-tier government is selfish and lacks merit. Let's move on to that, of course, as we see it on the front page of the Standard right there. Tanga says no to PM and regional government. This is on page 4 of your Standard. Leaders allied to the DP now declare that they will reject any plans by ODM chief Raila Odinga's backers to create more political posts and third tier of government. The BBI controversy seems right there, and it's been seen. We had former CS Dionjori yesterday, very vocal on this particular issue. Gabriel, do you want to jump in on this right away?
Again, there you quoted Tanga again. I don't know who's doing this. I don't know who did this headlines, but I'll tell you. The issue about tier governments and who gets what and what gets who. It's not actually Tanga. You remember what the president told the masses? He said when we did the handshake, the proponents of BBI, the spirit of BBI, is speaking of no positions. They have not actually discussed positions with Raila Odinga. We've heard in the rallies. No. But the president announced himself to those facts, and he has not changed. I've not had the president. Probably you may have had the president say, you know, actually we came together BBI because we wanted to create. The president has not said that. In fact, he's kept away out of that debate. What the president said was this. First of all, he had a concern, and today he still has a concern with BBI, the conversation, the national conversation, being taken over by politicians. Albeit the fact that it's a political process, he has always had that concern, and that's why he told people, please go read this document as we start having this national conversation, as we have the task force, which now I call BBI2, as they go out for another round of, you know, taking views from Kenyans, as we strategize how to implement some of these things that have come up, have this national conversation. So I don't know where the issue of third-tier governments is coming in. And by the way, Kenyans at this point, they don't want to even hear of any addition to their government. You know why? Look at what we read in the newspaper. We are talking about 10,000 shillings per Kenyan. Do you know what that talks about to the unemployed? You're telling them, guys, every year you must find a place to come up with 10,000 shillings towards our international debt. And then you have to come and still say that, you know what, we need to create other tiers of government. So what? What are we looking to remedy? What are we looking to remedy? BBI must speak. And I want to be very clear on this one. BBI must speak to the heart of Wanjiku, failure to which it will lose its meaning.
Jero, it sounds good when Gabriel says that, and the spirit of the handshake and what it should have done had been pronounced. But when you look at the rallies from Kisii to Western to Mombasa, as we move on, we've heard the pronouncements. We wanted Matiang'i to be PM. If that comes up, we want a referendum to be done this year. and everything else has been thrown out of the water. So when Nelson says that it's been hijacked for selfish political interests, that's all we are seeing being displayed.
Absolutely, and I keep saying, and I've been saying it for months, this Trojan horse called BBI is something that is split into two, where you have the process. And I spoke to my father, who is part of that task force, and went to every one of these 47 counties, Major Say, and went to every one of these counties. And of course, he knows my position on BBI. We are a very democratic family in that regard. But they went everywhere and collected views. And those views created a platform for a confirmation bias for the succession agenda for 2022. So if people said there is divisive, negative ethnicity, divisive policy, etc., etc., it was then captured in a document, which, yes, all Kenyans should read, but are they reading it? Has it been simplified? Has it been broadly and widely disseminated? No, we have jumped straight into popularization. And these are the political part. It's like, in fact, sometimes when I saw Mombasa, I said, this seems like an ODM rally. This is part of planning for 2022 with a couple of visitors from Kieleweke present. So as far as I'm concerned, if you look at the political campaigning going on versus the actual substance of the document, which also confirms the bias for succession, you have two things that you're playing with, and the president doesn't have to pronounce himself and say I'm for this or for that, because the document has created it. I do not know why Kenyans are not more alarmed by that section on the prime minister. Even if people say they want more powers, they want more this, more that, even as it stands there in the document which I read, oh, it's a very deadly space for someone to inhabit, because that's who will control government business, who will control PSs, who will no longer be vetted. So the document carries the fodder for the referendum, which we have been told, pende to sipende, will take place. Meanwhile, the political rallies continue to confuse Kenyans, to make Kenyans think that BBI is not even Building Bridges Initiative. Ni kitu inaitwa BBI. It's BBI. Who knows what BBI is? And that is deliberate. So I understand, if I was a politician, of course I'd be on the road shows popularizing and making people already support a bias I want in the referendum. But then the actual substance of the document also provides a perfect entry point for those who wish to succeed.
Okay, we're going to take a short break at that particular point. When I come back, I'll get Dr. Alale's views, as well as Honorable Jacob Midiwas on this as well. We'll take your views as well at K24 TV. You can also WhatsApp us. We'll be looking at that and more after the break.
Mom, mliniambilia pesa na mkaniambia